Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Jessie, and I'm one of the educators here at Bywater Solutions. We have with us both Kelly and Karen, who are two of our new educators here at Bywater Solutions. Girls, if you want to say hello.
Hi everyone, this is Karen.
Hi, it's Kelly.
And we'll be with you today for about the next hour and a half, 2 hours, while we talk about some of the new and exciting enhancements and upgrades that you'll see starting next month. So the first thing I'd like to talk to everyone about is just kind of a breakdown of how the webinar training will go this period. This year, we'd like to start offering a new What's New session, and that's going to be these 2-hour sessions. In the past, we've offered these 2-hour sessions where we got together and kind of just talked about some of the new enhancements that are in the new release. This year, we're going to have 3 of those sessions. So the first one is today. We'll have another one very early Monday morning, and then we'll have another one on Tuesday. And during these 2-hour sessions, we're going to cover all of the new features across the module. We won't dig in deep to each one of the modules themselves, but we will cover the bigger enhancements for both the 1605 and 1611 release. After the 2-hour sessions, then we'll begin module-specific 1-hour sessions. And those are going to be broken down over 3 weeks. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to go through all different types of enhancements to each one of the sessions. So we'll start with the Opac and public user services upgrades. So we'll have 6 different sessions that will be offered between March 22nd and April 3rd. And again, there's 6 different ones that you can choose from. We varied the times from morning, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and evening. So it accommodates all of the time zones that we support. These sessions will be recorded. Last year, we waited until the end of our upgrades to place those webinars up on our YouTube channel, but at the end of each week, we will be taking those webinars that we have recorded, and we will be putting them on our YouTube channel. So if there was one that you missed, or maybe you jumped on and then a student or a patron came up to the desk and you missed the end of it, don't worry. We'll be recording these and they will be available. So you'll be able to watch these at any time. After Opac, we will then have circulation and patrons. Again, those will be starting on March 23rd and rolling all the way through April 4th. We'll then have a breakdown by technical services. This will cover any type of cataloging, any type of acquisitions and serials upgrades. Those will begin on the 24th and roll out until April 5th. Then we'll cover our administration, tools, and reports upgrade webinars. We'll have 4 different sessions for those, and those will start on March 27th and roll out till April 6th. Again, remember, all of these will be recorded, so don't worry if there's one that you can't make. We will have those webinars available for you. Now, this year, we're introducing something new. So after those 3 weeks of module-specific sessions, then we're going to host town halls for specific types of libraries. Those town halls are going to start the week of April 10th. On April 10th, we're going to start by doing a town hall for academic and school upgrades. And Karen will be leading that town hall. Karen has an academic background. And then the next one we'll have will be the April 11th, and that's going to be our town halls for public libraries. And Kelly will be leading that one. Kelly comes to us from a public library. And then on April 12th, we'll be having the town halls for any type of special libraries. And I will be leading that one. My background is in law libraries. And then our last one will be April 13th, and that's going to be a town hall for consortia upgrades. And that one will be led by Nick, who is one of our developers here, and Kelly, who actually both come from a consortia up in Vermont. So we're really excited to be introducing this new type of session. We're kind of hoping this will help wrap up any type of workflow questions or any questions that may be specific. This will also be a great time for you guys to, share any ideas or talk about any type of information that works at your library. So this will be a great opportunity, and we're really looking forward to it. And again, those will all be Zoom sessions as well. So we'll be able to share screens and talk to one another and really get some good ideas down. Again, those will also be recorded as well. Okay, so we talked about our breakdown. Remember that calendar is available up on our website. So if you just come to Bywater Solutions, it's right up there on our blog. And again, that information did go out on the partners list. If you need any help or you have questions about those, please feel free to ask any questions. Both Karen and Kelly are monitoring that chat box and the Q&A box. So if you have a question about any one of those webinars, just let them know and they'd be happy to answer. Okay, so now let's talk about the timetable for upgrades. So we always like to begin our training sessions with the webinars about a month out from the upgrades. That gives you guys enough time to get on here, to get familiar, to see what some of these upgrades will be in the system, and get familiar with them. It's hard to take some time out of your schedule and come to one of these sessions, so we like to offer multiple ones. That way everyone has some time. So Melissa and Larry are working on the upgrade timeline in April. So next week, there will be an announcement on the partners listserv with more information as to dates and time for when each of the libraries will be upgraded. So, just let staff know that, again, next week, so that'll be the week of March 20th, Melissa and Larry are going to be working on a schedule for all of our partners to have an update for the newest release. So sit tight, and you'll see that message come out from them next week, and we're really looking forward to that. All right, so I'm just going to take a quick pause. Does anyone have questions about the webinar training, the calendar, or the timetable for our upgrades? Okay, wonderful. Well, this takes me right into our next big announcement. Some of you may have seen on the partners listserv that Michael, who is one of our designers here at Bywater Solution, has recently rolled out an update to the Opac. And so this will roll us right into our Opac enhancements. But as you can see here, we kind of have a new look and feel for what the Opac can look like. It has some larger font styles, some nice boxed out options that you can make available for clickable links, and just making it a little more inviting for your patrons. So if you would like to add that new theme to your Opac, you can submit a ticket and Michael will work on it. Our current turnaround time is about 2 to 3 weeks while we work with our partners to make this happen. So if you're interested in having an upgrade for your the theme on your Opac, please let us know, and we'll be happy to get that up and running for you. So just please submit a ticket, and then Michael will work on that for you, and he'll make those customizations to your Opac site. All right, so let's start with some of our exciting changes that are now in the Opac with our newest release. So let's start here on the Opac. So one of the, I think is one of the most helpful, especially for our patrons, is underneath our information for log into your account, you'll notice that we now have a forgot password link. This allows us to come over here to forget password. It allows us to come over here, type in our login name and then our email address, and then submit it. That will send a link to our user, and then that'll allow them to change their password. So this is super helpful for those patrons that may have misplaced what their PIN is or forgot what their password is. So now they can easily reset this right from the Opac. Again, it's just click on that forgotten password entry, and then that will take them right in where they can enter their login information, and they can enter in their email address, and then that will absolutely send them and their information. So let's just quick go through that. So if I come over here and enter in my login and my email address and hit submit, you'll see that an email has been sent to my email address, and if I click on the link in the email, that will complete the process of resetting my password, and then it just gives us a nice update and lets us know that the link is valid for 2 days starting then. Okay, so let's go back to our homepage. All right, another new and exciting and probably one of the largest enhancements to the Opac is going to be the addition of having the ability to pay fees and fines from the Opac via PayPal. So this is a huge one. Your patrons, your students, if you have a PayPal account set up, you will be able to pay your fines via PayPal from the Opac. Now, in our Opac specific sessions, we'll actually be walking through the step-by-step instructions as to set this up. What this is going to allow us to do is if we allow our patrons to pay fines using PayPal, there's a system preference, and let's just jump over to the staff client real quick. We'll come over to administration, and I'm going to come over here to PayPal. We have a couple new options that are here. So the first one is going to be enabling PayPal to be used within the system. And then we have a couple different options here. So the first one is going to be the PayPal charge description. So the patron will see the charge description as, of course, you can use this to describe anything you want. It could be Pasco County Library fee payment, you know, whatever you'd like. You can see the example we have in here is Koha fee payment. And then we have the information for our password for our PayPal account, and the information for your PayPal account payments, where to receive that information. So again, this is going to come through an account that you have set up with your library for PayPal. And then finally, we have the email address to receive PayPal payments. So again, that's going to show us the information for how we can set that up. Kyle, who is our lead developer here at Bywater Solutions, has created actually a step-by-step video, which is on YouTube. And I'm just going to quickly let that load here. And actually what he does is he walks through the entire process of setting it up in your system. He takes you through step-by-step instructions of going through all of the system preferences, as well as setting it up on the back end. And what I'll do is I'm going to send that link over to you guys. I'm going to send that to everyone in the box, in the chat box. So if you're interested, again, you can watch that video in the meantime. And then during our Opac specific session, we'll be going through the step-by-steps to actually go through and set it up in your system.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
We have a question about PayPal payments working in a consortium.
Sure.
Will it work with
Oh, so if they have multiple PayPal accounts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it looks like right now it's set up for just one, but let's ping Kyle a message and see if there's any way to do multiples, but I believe for now it'll just be one. That's the way the current preferences are set. Now, I will tell you that there's also a new bug to add additional options for credit card payments. PayPal was the first to pass through Bugzilla, but I believe there is another bug, and I can actually pull that up while we're talking, to allow for credit card payments. So I believe that there's more coming in the process. Yep, let's see here. Perfect. And Kelly or Karen, if you could grab whoever asked the question, we can follow up with Kyle and ask him about PayPal too, okay?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and for those of you who are interested, the other bug for the other type of credit card payments, that is in the work, and that's bug 15650. And that's the credit card payment development other than PayPal. So we will see that eventually in the works. So people have been talking about it. Okay, one more thing to talk about the PayPal. The patron will be able to see the option to pay with PayPal for the particular items that they may have fines on in their account. So they will be able to specify. And here you go. You can see the PayPal method here. So you could see here I have some fines and some fees for my particular items, and I can come down here to my payment method where I have the option for PayPal. So you can see here that we have it turned on, and this allows us to select and make a payment for the particular fines that we owe. So here you can see I can select one or the other, or if I wanted to select both, I could pay both of those off. And then I can come down here, you can see the amount to pay is $4. So now that they see that option, once they've selected the ones that they want and they've selected making a payment, they will be presented with a message and a confirmation that lets them know that they have made a payment. So here you can see it takes me to my personal Bywater library system where I can log into my PayPal account and actually go through and pay that payment. Now, once that payment goes through, on the staff side, we'll actually be able to see a note within the system. So I'm going to come over here to my account. And if I come over to fines, I'll actually have a new column here, and that will tell me if it was paid with PayPal. So you'll be able to see that information in the account tab right here under note, and it will give me an update that says that it's been paid through a PayPal account. That way the user will get one on both the Opac, and that will also get one on the staff side. So if the individual does need a receipt, you have the option of printing that over here on the staff side as well. Okay, questions about PayPal? All right. Okay, let's move on to our next new Opac enhancement. And this has been a biggie. This one has been a big talk for a long time. And this is now patrons have the option to place multiple holds on a given record. How exciting is that? My hands are up in the air. So now you have the option to control how many holds a patron can make in a particular item and or record. So let's first start by looking at where we can control this. So I'm going to come up to more and then down to administration, and that's going to take me into my circulation and fine rules. So the first thing before we even turn on the multiple holds, we actually have to say how many we can make. We have a couple new columns now in the circulation and fine rules. So if I scroll all the way down here, we have a new column, and you'll notice here it's called holds per record count. By default, it used to be 1, but now we have the ability to place multiple item holds on a given record per patron. So again, currently in your current releases, so for each one of you, you only have the option to place 1 hold on a given bib per patron. even if the record has multiple items. So, right, this comes into, question when maybe you have a multi-volume set and they want to look at volume 28 and 32. They can currently only place a request on one. This enhancement will now give Koha the ability to place a hold on at least 2 items on the same bib record. Of course, you can make it higher if you want. For example, I set ours to 3 so we can see an example of what that looks like. Another great example is a TV season DVD, right? So maybe we have, 7 seasons and they're all attached to one bib record. This gives the patron the opportunity to select the season that they want to watch. So once you have set your new circulation and fine rule here under holds per record count, so you can see we just upped it to 3 right here. Now if we come over here to our Opac, let's do a quick search for an item that has multiple ones attached. So let's take a look at Downton Abbey sound recording. So right here we can see there's CD1, CD2, and CD3. So now I'm going to come over here to place a hold. It's going to look very similar to the patron as it did before. If I select show more options, now down below, instead of saying the next available item, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and say a specific item. So if I want to place a hold on CD1, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to confirm the hold. Okay, so now we can see I have Downton Abbey, CD1 on hold. Now if I come back over to Downton Abbey and I come down below to place a hold, you'll notice that the first one is X'd out, and that's because I already have that one on hold. So I can either place one on CD2 or CD3. So let's select CD2, and I'm going to confirm a hold. So now you can see into my holds statement. Here I have CD1 on hold and CD2. Now, because I put my threshold to 3 in my circ and fine rules, if I come down again and I say place a hold, you'll notice that, again, those first 2 X's are there. So you can see I have those on hold. Now I have the option to place that third one on hold. So now I can come over here and confirm that hold. So now I have CD1, CD2, and CD3. So this is a really nice enhancement that finally allows patrons to place multiple holds on one item. I know over the years people have asked, especially sometimes for schools where teachers will have to take out more than one copy of a book. This is now a great option that allows them to do it. Same thing in our special libraries. If there's multi-volume sets where you need more than one volume of a collection, this is a great way to allow them to go in there and do that. Again, remember, this is now controlled in your circulation and fine rules. So you can specify this by patron category and item type. So you can specify how many holds per record can be made. There's also a great video that Kyle, again, has created. And if you guys are interested, I'm going to pull this up over here, and I'll also throw it into the chat box for you. But Kyle walks through the process of setting those up in the system and walking you through that multi-item holds in Koha.
Hey, Jessie, we have a couple questions.
Oh, sure.
Can you place all 3 on hold at once, or do you have to do one separate, each done separately?
Yep, you have to do it one by one. So confirm one hold, then go in and place another one on hold.
Okay. Does this allow multiple bib level holds, item level holds, or both?
Both.
I also have 2 questions from PayPal that came up. Can you answer those for me?
Sure.
Refunds. How do we do refunds through PayPal?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's confirm with Kyle about refunds.
Okay.
I'm assuming that it will go back to the user's account, but let's double check with Kyle on that one.
Okay, and the other one was, can somebody pay fines when the fines are still accruing?
So in my fines over here, let's come over. Yes, because right now I have an accruing fine on one of my books right here. This Janus freezing experiments. You can see I have 40 cents. So I can come in here and select that particular fine and process it. You'll notice down here my amount to pay is 40 cents.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good questions. Okay, we have one more big enhancement that we'd like to show you on the Opac, and that's actually going to be article request. Article requests allow you the availability to either enable or not enable the requests for a photocopy of a particular section of an item or a book or a periodical. This is a nice way if an individual is doing any type of research or may just need an article found in a journal, or maybe, oh, I don't know, a serial or information that they need from a particular chapter of a book. This allows them to make an article request. You'll notice there is now a new tab in my summary. It's called Article Requests, and this shows me the particular item that has been requested. So let's start on the staff side, and we'll talk about what we have to enable first, and then we'll go through the process in the Opac. So the first thing we want to do is come into our System Preferences, and we're going to want to do a search for article. My first system preference here is article requests. This allows me to enable or not enable that patrons have the availability to place article requests from the Opac. Then we also have article requests mandatory fields. This will actually allow you to specify what fields are mandatory when the individual is making a request. Same thing goes for article requests for item only, because you can also do it at item level or record level. So if I come over here, this allows me to select author, chapters, date, issues, pages, title, volume. Same thing goes for my mandatory fields for record only. So you can make article requests at the item level, the record level, or both. So again, I can select mandatory fields for each one of those. Once I have my system preferences set and I have it set to enable, the next thing I'm going to want to do is come back over to administration and then come down to my circulation and fine rules. Now I have another new column that is called article requests. Article requests have 4 different options. No, which completely turns it off for that particular patron category and item type. Yes, which enables it for both the record and the item to have a request. Record only would mean that they can make it only on the record level. Item only would mean that they could only make it on the item level information. So for example, let's talk about one. So let's say we have consumer reports. If I left it at record only, they would be able to make a request on consumer reports, but they would have to fill out all of the information for the particular journal, periodical, page, date, issue, chapter, whatever it may be. If I said item only, then they would have to choose the item for that particular journal, let's say consumer reports again. They'd have to specify the item that they want to place the article request on. When I select yes, they can make it at both the record or the item level. So once I have my system preference set to enable, and I have my article request set in my circulation and find rules, then I can come over to my Opac and let's do a search and pull up a system. So here we go. We have the buying guide for consumer reports. And this allows us to come in. Now you'll notice I have a new option over here on the right-hand side. So underneath my place, hold, and print, I have request article. Once I select that request article, this takes me into a form. So here you can see I did not specify any required fields, so they're all black. However, if I set one of those system preferences to select one of these and to be a required field, then I would see that information there. So now let's look at setting this up. So let's look at, I don't know, hybrid cars. Let's do hybrid vehicles. And then we can come in here and enter again the following information. There's also a free text form down below for them to add any additional notes that may be available for the staff or the librarian to help them find what the individual is looking for. Now again, if I'm a multi-branch system, we can specify a pickup location. For now, mine has defaulted to South Branch because that's what my home library is. Now down below, you'll notice that I can select a specific item type. Because I selected yes in my circulation and find rules, I have the option to specify. Once that's done, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to place my request. Now you'll notice here I have a new tab again, which shows me my article requests. This will tell the individual what the record title is. So there I can see Consumer Reports Buying Guide. The next thing I have is the placed on date, so it'll tell me when that article request was made. I can see the title and then any additional information that was left in the system. So now we have the next status. The status here is listed as pending. So pending is the system preference that will show to let the individual know that that has been sent over to the staff. They still have the option to cancel it here if they don't need it. So now let's come back over to the staff side and let's take a look at how the staff would identify that an article request came in. So now at the bottom of my page, you'll notice that I now have a new option down below. So right with our comments and our tags and our modifications, we have article requests. When I select that, I can see that there are two in there. So I have two options when it comes down. So here I can see my two requests. It shows me the patron information. I can see your phone number. I can click on her and open in a new tab if I wanted to see her information. And then over here I have actions. So what this allows me to do is I have a couple options here. So I have the option to print a slip. And so what that'll do is that will, let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see it. This will allow me to print off the information in the system so they can see the article, the title, the author, the patron. So whether you want to print that off and attach it to that print paper that you have printed off. That can also be customized in your notices and slips. You also have the option to cancel the request. And then we also have process and complete. So Process request would mean that I, as a staff member, went in and I'm in the process of going to grab that information from the system. So here you can see it shows me the information again and the patron. So now if a new librarian comes in to process the information, they'll see that this one is still pending. So step one would be to mark it processing. Now I can either go out to the stacks, grab it and make a copy of it, or I can print the article off online. Once I have completed that process, then I will come in here to complete the request. Once I complete the request, a notification can be sent out to the student or the patron, letting them know that that article request has been completed and it's been available. It'll be available for them for pickup. Again, all of that can be customized. We have some new notices and slips that can be customized to send that language out. So now if I come back over to, let's give a quick update here. Now you'll notice when I changed it to processing, the status is changed to processing is here well. So now let's take it to the last final step. So once I've made the copy of this individual article, my next step is going to be to come in here and to complete the request. So now once that's completed, let's come back over here to our, there you go. And now you can see that that's been completed. So now they can only see that one that's still pending in there. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at our notices and slips so you can see that information as well. Okay, so here we go. You can see we have a few new notices and slips that are now available. So we have article request email, one for canceled, one for completed, one for open, and one for processing. Again, you also have that print slip. So if there's any additional information that you want to add in there when you're printing something off, there we go. You can also customize that information as well. So this is just a nice option that allows your patrons, your students, your faculty to come in here and place a request for an article. Okay, questions about article requests?
There is one, Jessie.
Okay.
Is there a way to update the request if it needs to be changed? So say you did the wrong page numbers, or that's what I'm assuming this person's asking. Is there a way to update the request if it needs change?
So like to update the patron and let them know that perhaps they sent maybe the wrong title or the wrong pages and we weren't able to accurately find the request that they made?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. So right now, there's no other way to send a message besides those notices that are in there. You'll always be able to see the patron's account number, so you can send, of course, an Opac note to them or send an email to them directly to confirm the proper information. Right now, there's no type of direct communication within the article requests, like one-to-one communication. Good. Any other questions about article requests?
One more.
Sure.
Can a patron cancel the article request?
Yes, yes, they can. So here from the article request screen, and let me just make my screen maybe a little smaller. Sometimes it gets a little wide there. You'll notice here, right now I have one article request that is pending. So that means the staff members have not picked it up yet. So I can actually come over here. There's a cancel button all the way on the right-hand side, and that allows them to cancel it. The same thing goes for on the staff side as well. So if I come over here to the article request, I can cancel the request on the staff side as well.
And can they see it the completion of the request through the Opac?
Once it's actually completed in the Opac, it's removed from the article request. In essence, they'll be receiving the email that lets them know that the request is complete. So on the staff side, once we hit that process request, once we're in the process of grabbing it, once we hit this complete request, that will remove it from the Opac and send the individual an email letting them know that the process has been complete. Actually, that would be really nice if it said completed within the Opac as well. That might be a nice enhancement.
Is there a way to run reports to find out how many article requests there are and if they were completed?
Sure, absolutely.
And is there a way for the user to enter in a need by date for an article request?
Okay, so there's no in need date field like in the holds. However, if I come over here to request article, I have a notes field. So I could say in here, need by 3, let's say 2017. I'll just do a quick one so you can see what it looks like. So there you can see in the notes section here, I can see need by 3/20/2017. And again, if I come over here to my article requests, I'll be able to see it right down here, patron notes, needed by 3/20/2017. Now that's actually a good one to enter in there, a need by date, because we have that option in the hold. So this would be nice to have it in the article request as well. Okay, great. Other questions about article requests? Okay, all right. Well, there are lots of other new and exciting enhancements for the Opac. And again, next week we'll be starting those module-specific sections where we'll roll in and go into more detail about some of those enhancements. So for now, let's move over to the staff side. Okay, so the first one I'd like to start with is, this is a biggie, especially for fines. We now have the availability to set the maximum fine for an item to its replacement price. So the first step we need to do is we're going to come into Koha Administration, and we're going to scroll down to our circulation and fine rules. We now have a new column, and let me scroll over here a little bit. We have an overdue fines cap amount, and so that's going to be our max fine for the patron and the item combination. Okay, and now we have a new one, and that is cap fine at replacement price. This will prevent the patron's fines from going above the replacement price on an item. So for example, if our fine was set to, let's say, $50, but the cost of that DVD was only $19.99, so then the fine would be capped at that replacement price. So now you have one more column here in the circulation and fine rules that allows me to select a checkbox. So let's say we wanted to add one here for DVD. I can come over, select my checkbox, and save. And so now you can see we have a check there for cap fine at the replacement price. So a nice enhancement there. Okay, now that we're talking a little bit about circulation, let's talk about one of our new notice enhancements. So now, if you were using SMS in any of the prior releases, you needed a third party to send emails, to send SMS messages out to your patrons, any type of notices that you wanted to go out. There's actually a new option that you can now send SM messages to patrons without the need to subscribe to an external SMS gateway. You now have the option to change the value of the SMS send driver, and that's going to be in our system preferences. So let's pull that up. So in here, I can actually set this to email. What that's going to do is, as long as I have the service provider and the mobile phone number of my patron, I'll be able to send them an SMS message via email, and then it will be transformed and sent over to them as an SMS message. Now, depending on the provider, it could be as quickly as a minute up to an hour. That just depends on the provider, because what's happening is it will send an email out to Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and then AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint will convert it to an SMS message and send it out. So the first step is going to be to come into your system preferences under Patron, and then we're going to say that we're going to use the SMS and we're going to specify it as email. Now, I will tell you, email needs to be spelled out, capital E, and then M-A-I-L. I will tell you, the first time I did it, I was lowercase e and it didn't work. So a lesson learned, make sure it's a capital E when you're entering that in. Once you enter in that email, I'm going to come back to administration, because now you're going to see something new. Down under your additional parameters, we now have a new option, and that's called the SMS Cellular Providers. This is where I need to come in and enter all of this information. So when you have your new load, this will be blank in the system. It's very detailed in the manual as a breakdown for those numbers in the system, but this gives you the generic. So you can put in the SMS provider, and here you can see we've added in Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. So this allows you to enter in the information. So what it'll do is it'll take that phone number and then email it to, you'll notice Sprint's is messaging at sprintpcs.com. T-Mobile's, again, will be the phone number at tmomail.net. AT&T will be at text.att.net. And then for Verizon, Verizon's will be phone number at vtext.com. Okay. Now, once you start creating these in the system, you'll notice that it'll keep track of the number of patrons that are in the system. You can add as many SMS providers as you need. If there's one that you don't see up here, just let us know and we'll be able to work with you to get that set up. Okay, so step one again is going to be your system preference. Step two is going to be your SMS, setting up your serial providers. And then the next thing we're going to be is going into a patron's record. So let's come into Joanne's account. Okay, now under details, you'll notice that we have patron messaging preferences. Looks the same as before, but now you'll notice that it says SMS number underneath. So what we'll do is we'll come in here, and now we can come into patron messaging preferences. So I can select what I want sent as an SMS, or remember again, we can select this from the patron category level. So next I'll come in here and I'm going to enter in the telephone number. I would suggest just entering it as the numbers, no hyphens are needed. Now, you do need to select the carrier in order for it to send it out, okay? So one last step, and that is mandatory. You do need to select the carrier of that particular number. In order for this free service to work, we need to know what the particular carrier is for your number so it can send it out to the individual. So once I enter that in, I can select the SMS provider, select save, and then that will be selected in the system. So now that that's set up, when your cron job runs for process message queue, that's when your text message will be sent out. So again, a couple things I want to reiterate with this. It is dependent on the provider. The SMS can be sent immediately. Some providers that we did notice that the individual can get it up to an hour. So you just want to make sure that you have both of that information in the system. Okay, I see we have a question that came in from Christopher regarding the SMS messaging preferences. Can a patron fill in their own SMS number and provider? You know, let's take a look at our information because we have everything turned on in the system. So I'm going to come over here to my personal details, and I know what a lot of libraries have done are they'll actually add in an attribute type which will allow the individual to fill in that information. So some have done that. Some libraries have changed. You'll notice how it's by default primary phone, secondary phone. You know, maybe you want to change this to mobile phone, and they can update that information. And then again, if you want to put in a particular, maybe an attribute type, or collect that information from them, you know, when they come to the front desk, that's probably the best way to do it. A lot of our libraries have told us that, you know, since this is something that's just starting off and they haven't collected that information from their patrons, they'll usually ask them either when they come to the desk or maybe in a survey or, you know, any type of information to collect. Good questions. Anyone else have questions about SMS messaging?
So Jesse, to just reiterate, you don't think the patron can put that information in themselves, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That will be something that you can collect now. Yes, it can be set by the staff, yes. Sometimes libraries will create a patron attribute type, but now with in the new release, you can actually specify it right within those messaging preferences. Yeah, so at this point, only by staff.
Thank you. I think there was 2 more questions.
Okay.
For each, do we need to set up separate SMS notices?
So in your notices and slips, so let's come into more and then tools. We have the option for notices and slips. And you'll notice, like, let's say, for example, let's do item checkout. So if I come over here, you'll notice my last option down here is for SMS. So here's where I can specify a shorter character message within the system. So whether it's, you know, you have an overdue item, please return it to the library, XYZ. You'll want to make sure that you have a short character limit here. So you can specify the SMS message within each one of your notices that you want to go out.
Now, this SMS information is something we'll need to collect on our existing patron account. Is this SMS field, will that SMS field be active on our existing patron account?
Well, you'll have to go through the steps that we talked about in the beginning. So the first thing would be once you come into Koha administration, and the first thing will be the system preference. So once you enable email, and then you save that system preference, then this option will appear down below. So under additional parameters, you'll have a new option for SMS Cellular Providers. So until you actually say email in that system preference, it will not show that SMS Cellular Provider, because you can still do it the old way where you do have a third party that you send those messages through. So this is just a new way to do it without having that need for a third party vendor.
Great. Another question we have. We currently have a third-party SMS vendor. We don't track the patron's provider. How can we gracefully transition to this service?
Well, I would probably send out maybe a email or a message to my patrons some way, asking them if they would like to opt in for a more efficient messaging service, and maybe create a Google form or a monkey survey, or a Lime survey, whatever surveying you use, and ask them if they'd be willing to share that information with you. We were just training another library where we were talking about this process, and what they were going to do is start an initiative where any individual that came into the library, they would just start asking them if they would be interested in sharing that information with them to set it up. So I would probably do that. I'd either send an email, especially for those that may not come into the library as often. If you have a newsletter, maybe you can put a little action item in your newsletter, or put something up at the front desk.
Thanks, Jessie.
Of course.
If there is no notice for the SMS, does it fail over to an existing one? If there's no notice set up for SMS, do you know if it rolls over?
Yeah, you'll need to put something in the SMS. It would be empty. There would be nothing in there for it to recognize.
And then one more. Which email address does the SMS notice appear to come from? Is there like a phone number, or like on your phone?
I see. On your phone.
Yeah.
What would it be coming from? Well, I would need to check with Kyle on that. So let me tell you what's happening on the Koha side. So what Koha is doing is Koha is actually sending it as an email. So for example, it would say 607-523-9998 at, and then tmomail.net. And so the way Kyle described it to me is that email will be sent to T-Mobile, and then T-Mobile takes it and turns around and sends it as an SMS message to that particular provider. So I'm sure it's probably different for each one of the providers as to how they send that out, but let me take another quick note here, and I will ask Kyle how it comes through to the patron side for each of those providers.
And then I'm assuming you would want to maybe note in your notice that's being sent out via SMS that you cannot reply to this, correct?
Yes, that would probably be good. I always love doing these because you guys have such great ideas and feedback for the rest of us who may not have thought of some of these things.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, excellent. Other questions about the SMS messaging?
Yep, there's another one.
Okay.
Can we add new provider gateways ourselves for other cell carriers?
Absolutely. And this will be empty when you guys have a new load, because by default, you have multiple options there. You can still do the third party or do email. So you can add as many as you want. So just come in here to new SMS provider. The name again would be, gosh, I'm trying to think of anybody else that's not on there. PCS Metro, maybe? Right? Is that another one? So we could put PCS Metro, Iowa Wireless, whatever it may be, and then the domain. And you can find that domain information usually on their website. That's where we found the other information for like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. And again, it's always going to be that phone number and then the @ So each one of the providers has a different extension at the end.
Okay, and then so it will come blank, these SMS cellular providers, and you would add your own, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
And then in the system preferences, the SMS send username and SMS send password in the preferences, what would a library put for those?
That would only be if they were using a third-party provider.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, if they're just using the email portion, then let's go back to our administration and we'll come back over here to SMS. Yep, all you'd need to do is, again, just put that capital E and then MAIL in there and then save. And then that's actually what's going to trigger this down here, because if I did not have email listed in there, you wouldn't see the SMS cellular providers. This will not be triggered until you actually turn the system preference on first. So system preference first, SMS cellular providers second, and then you can start going into the accounts and adding that information in. We have a handful of libraries that are on 1605, and a few of them have tested this. So some people have said a minute, some people have said, depending on the provider, it may take up to an hour. It depends on the provider for the cellular service.
Another question for you, Jessie.
Okay.
If the patron's carrier changes, is there a way for us to know if the message bounced? Great question.
Yeah, great question. So I believe yes, but let me ask. Okay, so if the carrier changes, will we get the bounce? I will double check I'll double check with Kyle on that one. If the bounce will come to your reply to path in that you have set through your libraries and groups, or if it will bounce back if a carrier changes. For example, if they move from T-Mobile to AT&T and they don't update the library, where will that bounce back go? That's a great question. I will ask Kyle that as well.
Oh, great, thank you. And then another question, if a patron has multiple phone numbers, how will Kohan know which phone number is the text phone number?
Well, okay, so in the patron's record, you're specifying which one is the SMS.
Okay.
So for example, let's pull Joan back up. Okay, so in Joan's details, so we have her primary phone up top, but you'll notice underneath when we get to the patron messaging preferences, we have a separate one for SMS number. This is the number that it's going to look for if it's going to send an SMS message via email. So I'd have to come in here to patron messaging preferences and then specify the SMS number and the SMS provider. Good question. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, Jesse, we have one more question.
Okay.
Regardless of a cause, will we get any and all bounced SMS messages?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to check with Kyle about the bounces for those SMS messages, where they're going to come to, if they're going to come to that reply or not. We'll double check with him on that. Thank you. Okay, other questions about SMS? I know this was a biggie for us. We were really excited about that. Okay, well, let's roll right in from some of our circ actions. Let's roll into patrons. So within patrons, we have one great new enhancement, and that's the addition of a quick add patron option. So what this allows us to do is we still have our new patron, which allows us to enter in all of that information, but we also have a quick add new patron drop down. And what that will allow me to do is that will allow me to actually come in here and quickly create a new patron. You'll notice that my form is much, much smaller. So if I come over here and I add in you notice I can select the library, the category. My card number is auto-filled. Of course, you could always scan or add yours in. You'll notice up here I do have the option to show the full form. Okay, so right underneath Add Patron, I can say Show Full Form. But I do have the option to just do a quick add. And what that'll do is that'll just quick add Beverly into the system. And what that does is that allows me to quickly get Beverly's information in. It auto assigns her username and password. It enters all of that information in. I can always go back and edit it at any time. This is just quickly getting Beverly in the system, whether it's to check something out. Maybe she filled out a paper form, but she's standing right in front of me and she needs to pick her child up from school, and I just want to quick get her in the system and I'll edit it later. This does exactly that. So I can quickly add Beverly in, get her set up in the system, and then come back to edit this information at any time. So again, just if you come into that patron request, I have the option here for the quick add drop down that allows me to select a particular field, and then I can go in and add those categories. Now with this, I do have a new system preference. So let's go into this, and we have under our patron preferences, we have the patron quick add fields. So again, so this allows me to specify any fields that will appear in the patron quick add form when you're entering a new patron. So this is a great way if you want to add something else, you can add it in. The guarantor information will always show if you're entering a child, and if you choose to do that, you'll be able to see those fields in the form. So if you want to add additional fields in, you can absolutely go in and add those as well. So let's say you wanted to make the user ID and the password a field in the mandatory. When you're setting up those quick patrons, I can come in and add that user ID and add my password in and save that. That way the next time I come into my patrons and I do a quick add, now I can enter in my username and password too. So it does have some nice customizable options there for you as well.
Jesse, is that a feature that can be turned on or off?
The quick add patron?
Yes. Yes.
Let's see. I think right now it's turned on by default, but we could probably hide it if people did not want it to appear.
Particular identifier.
Yeah. Yeah, right now you just have the option to basically add particular fields in to that quick add, so there's not a system preference to turn it on or off. But I'm sure we could always hide it if it was an issue for a particular library. Just let us know.
Jesse, tying into that, we have another question about hiding, or rather changing the name of the SMS number
Okay.
field. So could the field's label be changed to clarify for staff who don't know what SMS number means?
Yes, sure. Yeah. Maybe putting like mobile number in front of it, or absolutely. We've had a lot of libraries too that, you know, even in creating like a new patron record, you know, you come in here and we have, you know, primary phone and secondary phone. You know, a lot of times people's primary phone is their cell phone these days. So a lot of times libraries will have have us change that information. So if it's something that staff would feel more comfortable with, yes, please just let us know.
Okay, a few more questions about this quick add feature, Jesse.
Okay.
Can a report be run to identify quick add patron accounts?
You know, we probably could. Let's see, Nick, I know Nick was active on this bug, so I will shoot Nick a message and I will ask him if we can run a report on quick add patrons. I'm sure we can, but I will follow up with him for sure.
Okay. Now, it appears when you did the quick add, did the library card number get auto-generated?
Yes, it did, but that's because I have auto generation turned on. You don't have, most libraries, you don't have to have that turned on. Ours is just turned on in our model system to have the next sequential number be assigned. That's just our model system. In yours, you can absolutely just scan in your own barcode or type in the numbers.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, another question about the quick add. Will quick add use the default fields? I don't know. Will the additional fields you specify always be at the bottom? Do the fields you specify appear in the order you enter them?
Oh, you mean if I'm adding additional fields into my quick add?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that'll depend on where they appear in the patron's form. So for example, I added in the username and password, which is towards the bottom. Maybe if I added in, let's say, phone number, that would appear towards the top. It will in essence be the same order as the regular patron form.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, another question is, how does a user get his password when you use the quick add field?
It is auto-assigned. So if it is turned on for them to receive an email, otherwise, if it does not, it will just be, assign them a password. So you can go in there and either reset it for them to something simple like Change Me or whatever it may be. I've had quite a few people tell me that they actually set the username and password in those additional fields in the quick add form, because it's so prevalent today for individuals to log into their account immediately, especially if they don't come into the library as often. They do a lot of stuff from their device or from home. That way you can keep a sequence when you're doing the fast add. If it's maybe their barcode or their student ID, whatever it may be, then you can scan that information in and then create the PIN, whether it's the last 4 digits of their phone number or the last 3 letters of their name, whatever it may be. That way you can create that information yourself. So you have both options. Okay, any other questions about the quick add form? Okay, all right, so let's move on to our cataloging updates. This one is really exciting. It can be used in so many different types of ways. Let's take a look at it. It's the automatic item modification by age. So if I come in here to more and I scroll down to tools, we have a new option under our cataloging tools, and that is our automatic item modifications by age. This is I'm actually really excited about this one. So this new tool allows you to really update any type of item-specific fields. So whether it's collection codes or shelving locations or item types. So when a particular item reaches a certain age, you can actually specify a rule or create an action. So the first thing you will do is we'll either add a new rule in, or we can edit the rule that we have here. So what this will allow me to, number 1, is set the days for the age period. So I'd say probably the most popular for this one would be like having an item type that's listed as new. So, when new books come in, how long do we keep them set as new books in the system? 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 180, whatever it may be. So that is step 1. So then step 2 would be the criteria that's needed to trigger the update. So that'll be our condition. So I have a long list, and that's my items fields. So I can come in here and select I selected for this example, the items.item type. And so that allows me to come in here, and then I just said the item type is new. And so what that allows me to do is say, so I want to say that the new item type, after 60 days, my next option is going to be to come in and say what changes are made when the script runs. So what that'll do is that will change that particular item type to something else. So for example, I want to change it to just book. So after it's been new for 60 days, what will happen is a cron job will run and it will update it to the item type book. That way I don't have to remember if it's been 60 days since that book has been out or come in, or 180 days or whatever it may be. I can add any type of additional rules in here. So for example, maybe I had a, let's say, maybe a location, a shelving location of new materials, let's say. And when that came in, maybe I wanted to change it to, let's say, just stacks. And again, I can specify the days here. So what that will do is that will actually allow me to change it when those are made. So it's a really nice way to have things run. So if you do decide to set up some rules in your system, this setting does need a cron job to run in order to update it. So if I say 60 days, your staff here at Bywater can absolutely help set that cron job up for you. And what we'll do is we'll set that cron job so it'll run. And after it has hit its age, so whether it's 60 days, 90 days, or whatever days you specify, this will allow you to actually update it. So you'll no longer have to worry about changing the status of something to a new status to update in the system.
Great, Jesse, I love this tool. But can this automatic age modification be set by library if one was in a consortium?
Great question. Do you share, let me ask for the consortium, do you share the same item types and same locations, or do you have different locations, collection codes, and item types?
Let me see, I'll wait for him to answer.
Okay.
For the most part, they do.
Okay, so right now it's specific by an item's location or type or rule, or so it is specific to the particular item. This is a really good question though, so I'm going to take a note here and double check for the consortia to see if there's a way that they can specify by different library. These are all really good questions that we'll be able to pass on to people in the town hall.
Yes, they are. Can a report be run for items that are affected by this auto modification?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Did you say a report?
Yes, a report be run.
Yes, yes.
And is the age measured by date ascensioned?
Yes, yes.
Are any of the conditions specific to branches or locations? I don't believe so, but.
Well, again, that depends. And when you're setting up your, let's say your shelving locations, you can specify that they only pertain to certain branches. So for example, I just want to make sure that I'm answering the question properly. So in administration, for specific collection codes or shelving locations, you can specify the branch. So let's say for a collection code, I can specify what branch that particular code is at. So in that case, yes. Same thing goes for shelving locations. So in there, I can come in and I can specify by branch. If right now my default is all libraries, but let's say this was only at, let's say, the main branch, or maybe just a couple of the branches, I can specify that. So here you can see that changes my branch limitation.
Perfect. I think that totally answers the question.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I was really excited. I think this is a great new tool. Okay, and any other questions about the automatic item modifications? And just a quick follow-up while we wait, if any are coming in. If you guys do decide to use this and turn it on, please just let us know and we can set that cron job up for you to run, okay? All right. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go into acquisitions for our final feature that we're going to talk about before we open it up to you guys for some questions. So the last thing we're going to take a look at is in the acquisitions module. So one of the big enhancements in this upcoming release is that you can now integrate Edifact ordering into the acquisitions module. So Koha uses the Edifact standard for electronic ordering. So let's talk a little bit about that process. So Edifact ordering would be is you would go to your book or your item vendor's website. So let's say Baker and Taylor, Ingram, Playaway. Once you go to that site, you would go there and place your order. Then your vendor would provide a mark order file. You would bring that mark order file back to the Koha system and then go through the process of bringing that in to the Koha system. So we would go into our tools and we would stage those order records through the stage mark records for import. We would bring them into the system. Then we would go through the same process where we would grab our vendor that we've just created the order for. So let's say Baker and Taylor. We'd come in, we'd create our basket, and we'd be able to go through the process of creating our basket name, and then when we add to the basket, we would come in and add it through a staged file. That would be those mark records that we have grabbed from one of our vendors. Now, the one difference that you will see with the Edifact ordering is instead of the close the basket button that you would have over here on the right-hand side, you will now have the option to complete the Edifact order. And what that will do is that will FTP that order back to your particular vendor. So there are a couple new things that you're going to see over here in order to set up EDI ordering in the system. And first, I do want to preface that there is some setup on the back end for this to happen. Currently, we have a plugin because we've had several libraries that have been utilizing EDI in preparation and getting testing done and getting this ready. So we currently have a plugin that will work with vendors for Baker and Taylor, Midwest Tape, Playaway, and Ingram. If you are thinking about using EDI or Edifact ordering, there is a $500 fee per vendor to set this up in your system. What our staff will do is they will set the plugin up on the back end, and that cost covers the time that it takes to set up and then maintain each vendor's connection for the Edifact ordering in the Koha system. You'll see over here the setup for the library side pertains to both the EDI accounts. This is where you would come in and create your new vendor that utilizes EDI. This is where you would set up your information like the host name, the download directory, and the upload directory, which again is coming from your vendor. Another new option that you have is our library EANs. You will have specific information from each one of your vendors, whether it's for a particular account that you'll be able to set up in the system. Once the process is complete, you will also have your Edifact messages. This is where you will see all of the messages that are returned from your vendor once the process is complete. there is a process to setting it up. So if you are interested, if you're doing any type of EDI ordering, or if you have a vendor that you would like to start the process for EDI ordering, please let us know, and we will be able to start the process of setting that up for you in the system. We actually have an EDI questionnaire that has already been set up for you to fill out the information about the vendor and how the entire process works, so we can set all of it up for you on the back end in the system. We walk through that setup process with you, and then go through the process of that EDI ordering, where you stage those records for import and then bringing them into the system. Now, right now, I did mention that we have a plugin created for Baker & Taylor, Ingram, Midwest Tape, and Playaway. If you have a vendor that you would like to have EDI ordering with, we are very open to working with that vendor to creating a plugin and making it happen. We just had somebody ask us about YBP the other day. So if there is a vendor that you're interested in, please let us know, and we'll be able to work with that vendor to set it up. Now, as of right now, we do not have a connection on our model site with the Edifact ordering. We'll be working with Kyle, so we can create a video on the back end of what that setup process looks like for you if you're interested in creating EDI ordering.
Hey, Jesse, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is this a $500 fee per vendor one time, or is it an annual per vendor fee?
Just one time.
Thank you.
Yep. That just, that covers the setup to maintain each of those vendor connections for the EDI ordering, because there's some setup on the back end. And if anyone is interested, please just let us know, and we can begin that process with you. We have several libraries that have been utilizing EDI in the system.
I do have one more question, but it's not about EDI. So if you don't mind, this is back to the automatic item modification.
Sure.
Is it possible to modify one specific location, for example, the new bookshelf, and have them stream into multiple new locations depending on the collection code at the library? Or would this only function as a blanket applied to all with the same change?
Now, you can add multiple substitutions in here. So for example, the condition can be like, for example, new, and maybe you want it to go to book and or DVD, but multiple ones for like collection codes. I will double check. I will double check on that for you.
It was brought to our attention that one of the conditions is item.home branch. So that's good.
Good. Yes. Items.home branch.
Now with EDI, if you are part of a consortium, would it still be a $500 per vendor per library? Or would it be $500 per vendor for the entire consortium?
I believe it would just be for per vendor, because basically you may have different accounts for those vendors based on your library, but you're all utilizing that same vendor. So for example, let's just use Baker & Taylor as the example. We would set the plugin up for Baker & Taylor, and then you would each have different EANs. Essentially, that's what your account number information is. So I would assume it would just be per vendor, not per library. That's per Kyle's information that he has passed on. Now, I will double check for you to see if it would be per library, but my the way I'm understanding it is it's per vendor, not per library.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to open up the floor for anyone that has questions, whether it's anything about the upgrades or questions about things we've covered today. We're hoping that you guys come back next week and join us for the specific module where we'll be going into a lot more detail and showing you specific ones for Opac and CERC and technical services and reports and tools and all that fun stuff. So again, we will be going into more detail with that information as well. Well, let me just ask you guys a question while I wait for questions to come in. Are you guys excited about some of the new enhancements and features?
I can hear the cheering. Can't you, Jesse?
Yes, so excited. These are great tools. All right. Yes.
Oh, here they come. Here people start. Here, now it's coming. Yeah, people are saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, great new features. So excited. Article request is pretty cool. Very excited about the auto item modification tool.
Awesome. Oh, I see we have a question from Michael. Are there any noticeable changes to how the search engine works? Are there features that will help patrons search the catalog more easily? So Michael, I can talk about that a little bit. Elasticsearch was introduced in 1611. However, it is still being tested. From the last we heard from the developers, the 1705 release, which will be in May, should have a more stable release of Elasticsearch. We have several people on staff who are actually testing it. We have one library who's actually testing it for us that's working with our developers to see how it's integrated. So 1705 will be the May release of Koha, which should have the stable release of Elasticsearch in it. And as long as Elasticsearch in 1705 is stable and we feel it's good enough for us to release to you, that will come in the fall upgrade.
Jesse, I don't know if you can, but I have a question about the last borrower on privacy. Do you have time to show that feature?
Yes. So that is one of the new features in Koha, and we'll be covering this as well in CERC and Patrons. But there is a new system preference that will show you the last borrower if you anonymize your information. So you can see down here for privacy, we have the option to store the last borrower. So what that will do is that will store the last patron to return an item. Now this is completely separate from Opac reading history and anonymous patron. So if you do anonymize your circulation history, what this does is this will allow you to see the last person that returned a book. Why this is super helpful is because let's say you're quickly checking in a lot of books from the book drop, and you're checking things in, and then maybe 20-30 minutes later you're going through those books, you're reshelving them, and you notice that a book has an entire chunk highlighted, or there is coffee spilled on the inside of the book, or there's a permanent marker that has crossed out particular words in the book. If you anonymize your patron data, you won't be able to see who that last borrower was. If you turn this on, you will be able to see the last borrower in the system. Now, in our test system, we have circulation history turned on, so I won't be able to show you exactly in here what it'll look like. But for example, if we come in here to, let's take a look here. If I come over to my items tab, if I did anonymize, I would be able to see again, here's my last borrower information. So you can see that information. Yeah, so you can see that last borrower information. So that'll take me right in. Now, again, we keep our checkout history on the model system. So of course we'd be able to see all of it. But for those of you who do anonymize, what it'll do is it'll show that last borrower here. And so I can see that the borrower's ID, and again, click on it and that'll take me into the system. Yeah, this is a huge one that was released, especially for folks that, you know, anonymize. I mean, it happens, you know, you're checking things in really quickly, or you check it in and then, you know, a week or two passes, and when that book comes back, you know, and someone's going to check it out and you notice that there's like a huge tear or rip or something in it, this will at least let you see who that last person was.
Is there, Jesse, is there a length of time that last borrower is kept onto the record?
Right now, it's until that last, until the next person, you know, takes it and returns it. I did have another librarian ask me, though, if there's a way that we can maybe set up a cron job to maybe erase it after a certain period of time. And that's something we'll have to work with staff to see if we can do that or not. But right now it's there until somebody else becomes the next last borrower.
Great. Going back, I have a question about the multi-holds per bib record. If a library's hold limit per record is set at 3, could a patron place 3 record level holds on one title?
If it was for that particular one. So let's go back to our circ rules. So for example, if like right now, let's see, we have a child DVD, okay? So let's come over here. If we set this to my holds per record, if I set that to 3, then a child in a particular patron category, if he was going into a DVD, let's say, oh, somebody threw something. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If we had, let's say, 5 DVDs attached to that one record, they could make a maximum of 3 holds per record. Now, if I went into another one, another record, and went to make those holds, again, it would be 3 holds per record. Now, I do still have my holds allowed cap. So if my cap is, let's say, 5, then they would be capped when they went to make that, try to make that 6th hold on another record.
Perfect.
Remember, this is holds per record, the new preference.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Such great questions.
Yep. Another one. Does this release have the option to limit the number of suggestions a patron can make?
I believe that is something that we can set up on the back end for you. I don't believe it's a system preference that you can trigger, but I think we might be able to set something up for you. If you can submit a ticket, that would be great, and then we can help you out with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, I kind of just would like to close up and just remind you guys that we will be having another one of these 2-hour sessions Monday morning at 7 a.m. We'll be covering the exact same information that we covered today. And then we'll have another one of these on March 21st, again, covering the same information, just kind of giving you the big highlights that are coming in 1611. And then on the 22nd, we'll start getting into the specifics. So again, the way it's going to work is we'll either have a morning and afternoon, or a late morning and a late afternoon or evening for 3 weeks. So you can see that we offer these 6 times. So if you can't make one and maybe you can make another, feel free to sign up for as many as you would like. There's multiple sessions. We will be recording each one, and then those will be available for you on the Bywater Solutions website, as well as our YouTube channel. So if you guys are on YouTube, just search for Bywater Solutions. You'll see us in there. We have lots of videos, and you'll be able to listen to these on demand. And again, they will be going up on the Friday after each one of these sessions have passed. There's also some really great short videos that some of the Bywater team has been adding to our YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested, if you just come to YouTube and you look for Bywater Solutions, that'll bring up our channel, and we have quite a few. You'll see our little image there. And if you come over to videos, we have a lot of great videos that we've been starting to put up. There we go. There's making the last patron to return an item visible, utilizing lists, some of the new Opac enhancements, YouTube streaming and cataloging, and we'll get to that in tech services, viewing your relatives' checkouts and the Koha Opac, and then the 2 that we talked about earlier, the multi-item holds in Koha and the PayPal. And all of those videos actually walk you through the process of setting them up in the new system. And we'll be adding to this weekly as new requests come in and new features. We go ahead and we add these videos in. They're all about anywhere from 2 minutes to at the max probably about 7, and it walks you through the process of setting up any type of system preferences and circulation rules and getting them going in the system. So make sure to check this out and subscribe, and then you'll always have our newest videos up there. So the webinars will also be up here as well. So if there's any other questions I can answer, please let me know. If not, we're so excited that you guys were here and able to join us for the first of our upgrade webinars. We always enjoy talking to you. It's so nice to have you guys like sit in and give us good feedback and questions too. We have your email addresses, so those questions that came through for the consortia and some of the other things about refunds on PayPals and SMS messaging, returns and things like that, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you all have a great weekend.